Hello again, everyone. Happy to be back and kick off this afternoon program with an overview of what's going on with the OKRs industry. So, what I'm going to present now is the global state of OKRs, and you will actually see that there are a lot of things we can take away and learn from what experts and practitioners are doing. But before that, I'm going to give you a bit of context around it. So first, context about me. My name is Elie. I'm founder of OKRmentors. I've been doing strategy, product transformation for now more than 15 years and worked with many organizations and teams in helping them create the link between strategy and day-to-day execution. And more recently, I've been launching through OKRmentors, a collective bringing together the best experts and practitioners around the world. We build together programs which we actually are now providing to organizations around the world. I'm very happy to count Melon as part of our partners, experts, and investors. And from there, there is a lot of know-how that we bring to teams and organizations like today. I'm going to try to share my slides so that you can actually go through the presentation together. All right, so about OKRmentors, as just mentioned, our mission is to advance strategic execution practices worldwide. And so for that, we do training, we help organizations in their implementation, and we bring together the best experts who work with organizations everywhere around the world, whether they are startups, scale up, or large multinationals. As you can see, there is a bit of context I want to give before diving into the details. What you see on the left for me is very telling of what's our day-to-day reality. We set a goal, we set a plan, we have a vision, and we see how we can go there. And then life happens. Life can be a team member is sick or changes job. Life can be there is a new competitor launching a new product. Life can be a new regulation or anything else that has a dramatic impact on your ability to reach the goal, right? So it can be AI, it can be innovation, it can be geopolitical context, like the COVID a few years ago. So what do you do then? That's the question that successful companies answer better than the others. That's really like the single most important factor for success of an organization, their ability to actually set up a way to adapt to the evolving reality. And so the reality is that this is not easy to adapt to that reality. And especially this is not easy the bigger you get, because you need the information to flow to collaborate effectively. And that's a big challenge to stay adaptive. And as you can see here in the image, when you are 3 people, there are 3 lines of communication. When there are 14, there are more than 91 lines of communication that needs to update constantly about the new reality. So how do you create an agile, adaptive organization that is able to collaborate and adapt effectively to the evolution? That's, I think, the key element that OKRs is addressing, providing focus, prioritization, alignment, etc., etc. And we will see that in what we're going to do today. So the key question here, some companies are doing it better than others. How? What do they do? Let's figure out together. We've launched a white paper, a research with 406 leaders that were asked about their practices around strategic execution. And these leaders are from everywhere around the world, different size of organizations, different industries. And we asked them a lot of questions around the way they manage their strategy, their performance, the OKR, the impact on one and the other. And this is what I'm going to share now. We're going to share with you in the comment the link of the full report. It's 33 pages. So you can access it, of course. What happened is from this 466 leader, we got more than 20,000 data points. And so what I'm showing to you right now are the main insights and takeaways from it, but it's very rich information. About the leaders interviewed, as you can see here, it's very diverse. We have from North America, from Europe, whether it is Western Europe, Central Europe, but also from Middle East, Turkey, of course. And in terms of industry, we have from all type of industry, whether it is technology, retail, finance, telecommunication, manufacturing. We interviewed mostly senior manager and above, so people with leadership charges that have an influence and are directly involved with OKRs. And companies are actually going from 10 people to hundreds of thousands. So we have a good split there. What was interesting through the analysis is that we saw not so much variation based on the geography, although we could have expected it, or industry, but much more based on the company size, which is also quite understandable. So first, we asked them about their challenges when it comes to strategic execution. And what came out is their top 3 challenges is our strategy changes too often, there isn't full alignment or full support on the strategy, and strategy is disconnected from the day-to-day. And I think it's very telling of the situations we are facing, right? So we need to adapt our strategies regularly, and this can be a problem when actually the organization doesn't find a way to be continuously aligning on it and connecting it to the day-to-day. And so if there is not an adaptive way to address these changes, then the day-to-day become disconnected to the strategy. And so I think here one of the key elements is how can OKRs help you build a layer from strategy to objective, key results, activities, I measure, I learn, and I adapt my strategy. And this flow of information is transparent and available for everyone to understand. Then we asked them why they use OKRs. And most had various reasons, as you can see by the percentage, but the top 3 are alignment, performance, and prioritization. So these are really the 3 reasons that people are looking into OKRs from the panel of respondents. Then we asked them about their experience with OKRs and how comfortable they feel. And we actually saw through the research that there were a small percentage that were feeling more comfortable, were using OKRs for more times, and were actually seeing a much better performance overall. And we call them the overachievers, and we decided to zoom in into what they are doing. So let's look at them together at what these overachievers are doing. First, a bit of context. As you can see here by the figure, overachievers are 33% actually to be and to evaluate themselves as excellent in their ability to achieve their strategic potential, which is 12 times higher than the people who starts with OKRs. So you can see the journey in terms of gaining confidence with OKRs. When I use OKRs and I'm comfortable with it, I feel much more comfortable and confident about my ability to deliver my potential. And this is not the only benefit. It also has huge benefit on execution, on tracking and sharing progress, on focus, on agility and adaptation, and on alignment. And you can see the multiples are quite high. On agility and adaptation, OKRs actually give 62 times better performance than people that are just starting with it. In alignment, 14 times. So it's quite impressive what overachievers are able to achieve thanks to OKRs. Let's see what are the best practices. So we analyze their responses, specifically this group, and understand what is it that they do different than the others. First, they roll out OKRs gradually. So they don't do everything in one go, they do step by step. That's also my advice. Explore a step-by-step approach. You can start first with the company leadership, maybe 1 or 2 teams as proof of concept to be able to experiment, understand how it works, and build a network of champions. So that's the recommendation number 1. Recommendation number 2 is opt for quarterly sometimes yearly cycle to set OKRs. So that's what they do. So they were much more on quarterly, while beginners would be on yearly. That's also my recommendation. But here I would recommend doing a hybrid version, especially if you start. You can have objectives that are based on your annual cycle, because objectives have usually, let's say, a longer term direction, and then set key result at the quarterly basis so that it's very linked to your day to day. And once you become more agile, more adept, you could have two OKRs, one for the year and one for the quarter. But in the beginning, I recommend having only one cycle and making maybe the objective yearly and the quarterly for the key result. Best practice number 3, they engage into weekly or monthly OKR check-ins. So they update regularly on what's going on with their goals and their measure of progress. This is very important. Every time I train or coach leadership teams or any team, that's the number one thing I recommend is you can do the best OKRs, but it will become real only the day that you have discussions about it. It's like if you start a new instrument, you can have the best plan, but if you don't go there in front of your instrument, you won't learn, you won't improve. Same thing with sport. And that's the same thing here. You need to set up an operating rhythm. So when you set and define OKRs, then afterwards, talk about it. Every week, every 2 weeks, potentially as frequently as possible. You want to integrate it in an existing meeting. I think that's the best, so that you don't add more meetings to what there is already. And 10 to 15 minutes is enough. You don't have to make it too long, but do it. If someone is on holiday, you do it anyway. If there is not much change, you do it anyway, and you ask yourself why there is not much change. Is it because we work on the wrong thing, or is it because our OKRs are not well set, or is it because we need support? But give yourself a space to be strategic, to discuss about your strategic goals and how you're progressing toward them. The best practice number 4 from Overachiever is about how they involve the teams and the roles in the OKR implementation. It's an important one because implementing a strategic execution method like OKRs, which has shown tremendous success for a lot of organizations like Google, LinkedIn, but also SAP, BMW, Mercedes, Renault, is that this is a cultural transformation. You're going to have a lot of changes in the way people work, in the way they actually discuss their most important things on a day-to-day. The way they prioritize, the way they plan, the way they discuss performance, it's going to be influenced. So it's a big change. It's also a change in terms of the dynamics, where people are being more empowered to define how they contribute. So it requires more accountability from the teams. It requires clarity on what needs to be done. If you don't bring in this clarity, the challenge you will face is that people will be confused, and eventually you're not going to get the benefits that you expect out of such methods. So here my advice is to ensure that you have a few roles foreseen, right? The first one is the person that's going to drive the OKR program. Like a cultural transformation program, you need someone that is there and is like a change/project manager that's going to drive that, going to make sure the meetings are in the agenda, that is going to track if the implementation is going well, people are using it, if it's not going well, why, and help and so on. That's what we call an OKR lead. Usually they work closely to the senior leadership team. They work transversally, and they have direct contact to the executive team so that they can actually get support for the implementation. The second role is the OKR sponsor. So that's the person in the executive team that is actually supporting the implementation. That's the person that's going to make sure that at the C level, the implementation is also being done, that the conversations around OKRs are happening, and that the resources needed are being allocated. So these two roles are very important. Involving HR as well is definitely recommended. And when you start to implement it in the organization, I recommend, this is a real game changer, the role of OKR champion. It's not a dedicated role, it's on top of what you do. So it's good maybe for your overachievers to say, hey, on top of what you're doing, I give you a role that is transversal for the team. It can also be for the team leaders. But basically here, the idea is that you have people within the team that will manage the process, make sure that the rituals are in the agenda, that the OKRs are drafted, that the progress is happening, and then they're going to create a network together and learn from each other. That's really going to help the OKR lead, but the organization overall to adopt OKRs, because the know-how will be spread within each of the teams. So I definitely recommend that. And all of these people, of course, need a certain level of know-how so that they are comfortable and confident. We will talk about that a bit later. The best practice number 5 is how this integrates with the rest of the organization. So as mentioned, OKRs is to actually go from one point to another, from where you are to where you want to be. It implies change. It implies intentionality. This is not about what you do on the day-to-day to serve your customers, or at least that's not about the business as usual way to serve your customers. That's about how you're going to evolve this, how you're going to improve this. So you have in parallel the run, the business as usual, and the build, the strategic execution or the execution of the strategy. OKRs are for the strategic execution. But so you cannot add it on top without integrating well with what is already happening. So one of the best practice of overachievers is that they integrate it well with the company processes. Everything that has to do with planning, priority, and performance is actually integrated with OKRs, or OKRs is at least integrated with it. Very important. This is easy to remember. It's 3 Ps: planning, performance, and priorities. And then when it comes to performance management, here it's important to be very careful not to actually go too much into linking it to the performance and the financial reward, because OKRs is to stretch, it's to motivate the teams. But there are best practices here that you can definitely get supported with, and I share some of them here. Last 2 recommendation, one around the tracking progress. So we see that the overachievers tends to use more advanced tools to actually support themselves. My recommendation here is start simple, figure it out. Then once you understand how it works, so even a Google Sheet or so on can work. But if you want to scale, you will definitely need to have an easy way to share information, update the OKRs, get visibility for the leaders, and so on. And there are more advanced tools that will be very useful. The best practice number 7 from Overachiever is the one with OKRmentors that we focus a lot on as well, is to train the organization. You need people to understand the why, that it's not just another method to do reporting, that this is really to empower them, that this is really to support their growth, but also the OKR leads and the OKR champions. So this is something I invite you to look at. And then to conclude, if you want to look a bit further into the different programs for the teams, I invite you to have a look at our website. Sure, we made a special discount for OKRx. You know that. You can see the coupon code here, Casamitjana 2024. We will share the information in the comment as well. And I guess that from there, I can transition back to you, Sure.
Thank you very much, Elie. So I think this was a great chance to announce our partnership in this summit too. Every time I listen about the global state of OKRs, I'm always taking notes, and I will be using them in the next session. So officially, I'm announcing that we recently became a official investor for OKRmentors. We have been having this partnership for a long time, and we will be acting like regional lead for Turkey and Middle East on behalf of OKRmentors. I'm really happy for that collaboration. Thank you for being here and co-organizing together the fourth edition. Thank you, Elie.
I love this. Thank you, Surey, and thanks for bringing the ecosystem forward. You're doing a great job. I wish you a good afternoon and looking forward to be in touch, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye bye.